Hello, Steve Arts 89. Well, I haven't seen Madam Web. I've heard it's an awful film. I bought it because so many times when I hear something is bad, often it's not, and I just wanted to see it. I haven't watched it yet. But one of the things that I remember was so stupid as a reason for this film being bad. John Campier said this when he was reviewing the film, talking about the film the first time, and I thought it was incredibly stupid. I meant to make a video about it, but I forgot. And then I just saw him talking about the film, which just got a Razzie, of course, or several Razzies, and he was saying why it's so stupid. He said, if you have a dream and you know that three girls are going to come and murder you in your apartment, why wouldn't you just move? Like that would solve the problem and end the film. Like they wouldn't just find out where he lived. They found out where he lived then. They would find out where he lived if he moved somewhere else. Like moving house is not going to stop that timeline. It's not going to stop that reality. It's not going to stop those people from coming after them and, I was going to say looking in the phone book, but looking for that person's address and finding them. If they found him once, they'll find him again. Stupidest reason I've ever heard for a film being bad. Oh, because they could have stopped the film from happening, basically from the events by happening by just moving to another house when they saw that they were killed specifically in a location. Like, that's just ridiculous. Like, I would just don't go to that location and those events won't unfold. It's fate is not that easy, if it was that simple, my God. But yes, that annoyed me the first time I heard it. I thought that's the stupidest reason I've ever heard for a film being bad or not, not should never have been made or something. And now he just repeated it and I remembered how stupid that it was. I'm like, this time I'm going to remember to make a video about how stupid his reason for this film being stupid is. And it's just fascinating when you see people, they think they're so much cleverer than the film or the problem. They think, oh, this is so stupid because of this. And what they say is actually stupid in the actual film itself because they didn't think about it or are not intelligent enough to think about it, or they just refuse to think about it. They don't see how stupid that is. And it drives me nuts when people do that with films. You see people do it a lot of the time, like, well, this is so stupid because, and it's actually the person who's too stupid to actually see the answer or the reason for that question they've posed because they're not smart enough to work it out. And it's just, I've seen it a bunch of times, and this is just one example of that's the stupidest thing I've heard. I'm sure that there are other reasons to criticise the film, if it is as bad as people say, but that one was just the most ridiculous thing, and it annoyed the hell out of me, and now I've made a 2.5-minute video about it. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of just the stupidity of some critics who they think they're so clever and they just find one little flaw that they think is a flaw. Sometimes it isn't even a flaw because they just haven't looked hard enough or aren't smart enough to work something out, and they use that to, like, justify and validate their own stupidity and prejudice or issues or whatever. I find most films are good and have something about them that makes them worthy, and people work on these things and no one wants to make a bad film. So I find it really frustrating when critics are just there to find fault, pick fault, just find reasons to criticise the film. Once they've got a couple of things that they can hang on it and shit on it for, they're happy, they do their little spiel, they do what they think is creative. It's like, oh, I've just made up a very clever insult for this film. I'm a creative person. Take that, Hollywood, who wouldn't hire me to write scripts or whatever their failed aspirations were. And yeah, I hate critics, as you can see. I do reviews because I like to talk about films and I like to share how I think about them because I want to see if anyone else feels the same and wants to share their views or whatever. So that's why I do film reviews, but I'm not a critic. I studied criticism in cinema and media and I hated it. I failed it. Well, actually, did I fail it? I got a very low mark. Most people failed that class, even the people who got A's. Their whole their average dropped. It was the worst class ever because they basically just insulted everything, didn't teach us how to analyse or criticise films, just insulted everything, trashed everything, was very negative, and then expected us to learn criticism from that, and then basically failed everyone in the class for not learning how to criticise films when they didn't teach us. So, yeah, hate criticism, hate film critics, hate stupid film critics, and hate stupid film critics who think they're smarter than the films when their reasons are just stupid. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of film criticism, Madam Web, John Campier, because I've heard him say some incredibly stupid things. And what baffles me is how he's wrong so often, but yet he still stands up there and tries to sell the idea that somehow he's an expert and a voice that should be listened to and should be watching his show because he's so important, even though he doesn't know half the things he thinks he knows, and he gets things wrong so often, but yet somehow just keeps talking like he's an authority or something. It's almost fascinating, but not really. The only thing I really like about him, aside from his overall knowledge, is that he does hate the Chuds and he just call them out, and he doesn't play that side of the, like, the maggot street or the Chud street or the, that sort of, he doesn't play the pop culture, politics or anything. So yeah, pop culture wars and politics and all that. So yeah, it's the only thing I'll give him, but I'm going to go